Alright, so today I'm going to be reading The Secret Garden. Remember that all books that I am reading are under the public domain and have been under the public domain for a while now. Let's begin. I'm starting with Chapter 1. There is no one left. Mary Lennox was a sour-looking child. She was very thin and always sick. Her skin was yellowish, and her blonde hair was scraggly. Her father was an officer for the English government in India. He was busy with work, so he didn't have time for Mary. His mother was a great beauty who loved to go to parties and have fun. She didn't want a child at all, so Mary was handed over to Aya, a native servant. Mary's mother told Aya to keep the child out of her sight as much as possible. Mary could only remember being cared for by her. Aya was one of the other native servants. They always let her have her own way. They knew that Mrs. Lennox, or the Mem Sahib, as they called her, would be angry if she was bothered by Mary's crying. Poor Mary was as spoiled as a pig by the time she was 6. One very hot morning, she woke up feeling crabby. She became crabbier still when she saw the servant in her room. It was not Aya. She was not very nice to Aya, but she did not want anyone else to take care of her. "Why did you come?" she said to the strange woman. "Send Aya to me." The woman looked scared and told Mary that the Aya could not come. Mary threw a fit. Even though Mary kicked her, the servant told her that again the Aya could not come. There was something strange happening at the Lennox house that morning. Everyone hurried around. Nothing was done on schedule. The servants acted scared, and some of them seemed to be missing. No one could tell Mary anything. She was left alone as the morning went on. Later, Mary was playing within a corner of the veranda. She saw her mother talking with a young British officer whom Mary did not know. Mary casually called her mother Mem Sahib like the servants did. Not Mama or Mother. Mary stared at her mother because she did not get to see her very often. The Mem Sahib was tall, slim, and very pretty. Her hair was very curly like silk, and she wore the prettiest lacy clothes. But today Mem Sahib looked scared. "Is it very bad?" "Oh, is it?" Mary heard her ask. "It's awful, Mrs. Lennox," the officer answered. "You should have left the city 2 weeks ago." "Oh, I know," cried the Mem Sahib. "I only stayed to go to that silly dinner party. What a fool I was." Then a terrible wailing came from inside the house. "What is it?" the Mem Sahib asked. "Someone has died," answered the young officer. "You didn't tell me the cholera was already here amongst your servants." This was the first Mary had heard of that cholera. A very deadly sickness had broken out in the city. Her Aya had been taken ill the night before she had just died. It was her death that set the servants wailing in fear. Mrs. Lennox and the young officer ran into the house, leaving poor Mary alone. Mary ran and hid in her room. She was forgotten by everyone. She cried for a while and then slept for hours and hours. Then she awoke. The house was very quiet. Mary wondered if everybody had gotten well and all the trouble was over. She wondered who would take care of her now that her Aya was gone. Mary was hungry, and it felt like no one cared about her. Surely someone would come to look for her, but no one came. "How quiet it is," she said to herself. "It sounds as if there was no one but me." Then she heard footsteps. She could hear men talking in low voices outside her door. "How sad," she heard one voice say. "That pretty woman and the child." A few minutes later, the men opened the door to Mary's room. One was a military officer she had seen before with her father. He and his men were surprised to see her. "Here is the child all alone," the officer cried. "I am Mary Lennox," the little girl said stiffly. "I fell asleep when everyone had cholera, and I just woke up." "Why didn't the servants come?" One of the young men looked at her very sadly. "Poor little kid," he said. "There's nobody left to come." That was how Mary found out that both her mother and her father had died. Some of the servants had also died too, and the others had run away. That was why the place was so quiet. Mary stayed for a while after that, with an English minister and his family. He had 5 children who were always fighting. Mary did not like them at all. They didn't like her either. One day Mary was playing at making garden. Basil, the minister's son, teased her. "Mistress Mary, quite contrary, how does your garden grow? With silver bells and cockle shells, and marigolds all in a row." After that, Basil and the rest of the children called her Mrs. Mary, quite contrary, all the time. The minister told Mary that she was going to sail to England to go live with her uncle, Mr. Archibald Craven. Mary had never heard of this uncle before, but he was the only family she had left. Basil teased Mary about this too. "He lives in a great big house in the country. No one goes near him because he's so cross. He's a hunchback too." She didn't believe Basil. She put her fingers in her ears so she couldn't hear him. Mary soon made a long voyage to England. An officer's wife took care of Mary on the ship, but she was busy with her own children and didn't pay much attention to the contrary little Mary. In London, they were met by Mr. Craven's housekeeper, Mrs. Medlock. Mary wondered about her uncle and where he lived. What sort of place is it? What would he be like? She felt very lonely. They took a train to Yorkshire. Mary did not like Mrs. Medlock, but since she didn't have anyone, this wasn't unusual. Mary sat in the train car and looked out the window at the rain. Mrs. Medlock did not like Mary either. She thought the little girl was plain-looking and quite spoiled. Mrs. Medlock was the kind of woman who wouldn't take any nonsense from children, but Mr. Craven had sent her to fetch the little girl, and that is what she did. "I suppose I should tell you about where you are going," Mrs. Medlock said. "You are going to a gloomy place. It's a house called Misselthwaite Manor. It's over 600 years old. There are more than 100 rooms in the house, but many are shut up and locked. The house is on the edge of the moor, a big park and gardens around it. Mr. Craven's gloomy too. I don't even know why he's bringing you there, because he's not going to trouble himself about you. He won't trouble himself about anyone. He's got a crooked back, and that set him wrong. He's been ever gloomier since his wife died. She was a pretty little thing." Mrs. Medlock continued, "Most of the time, Mr. Craven travels far away from England. When he is at home, he stays shut up in his room. The only person he sees is his servant, Mr. Pitcher." This did not make Mary feel cheerful. A house with its room shut up. A man with a crooked back who shut himself up as well. She stared out of the train window at the pouring rain. "You'll have to look after yourself," Mrs. Medlock warned. "You'll be told what rooms you can go into and what rooms you're to keep out of. Don't go wandering and poking about. Mr. Craven won't have it." "I won't go poking around," said sour little Mary. She turned to face the window of the railway car and soon fell asleep. Also, any typos that I make, that is just how I read and how the book is written. That's all for this chapter. Goodbye.